All right, good deal. So let me say welcome to everyone. This is ACIM Talks, Monday, January 22nd, 2024. No, that's not going to be right. I'll just say 2024. Listen, is there anything anyone would like to share before we get started?
No, thanks.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's move into our agenda tonight. And we've kind of been away from the main A Course in Miracles book, quite frankly, for a while. So I just thought maybe I'd bring in a little excerpt, a little reminder from the course itself. And I brought something from the workbook for students that for me uh, is, I guess I'd have to say, a fundamental principle of ACIM and its non-duality. So I know it's in your book and that it's lesson 48, but I just thought for convenience sake, I've got it here so I can put it on screen and see if someone would like to read it. Oldie but a goodie, right? From A Course in Miracles. Someone want to read that for?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Please.
Lesson 48, there is nothing to fear. The idea for today simply states a fact. It is not a fact to those who believe in illusions, but illusions are not facts. In truth, there is nothing to fear. It is very easy to recognize this, but it is very difficult to recognize it for those who want illusions to be true. Today's practice periods will be very short, very simple, and very frequent. Merely repeat the idea as often as possible. You can use it with your eyes open at any time and in any situation. It is strongly recommended, however, that you take a minute or so, whenever possible, to close your eyes and repeat the idea slowly to yourself several times. It is particularly important that you use the idea immediately should anything disturb your peace of mind. The presence of fear is a sure sign that you are trusting in your own strength. The awareness that there is nothing to fear shows that somewhere in your mind, though not necessarily in a place you recognize as yet, you have remembered God and let His strength take the place of your weakness. The instant you are willing to do this, there is indeed nothing to fear. Nice.
Non-dual. Anybody remember this lesson? Or I would just be interested in your first impressions of lesson 48. The first time you read it, what stood out to you?
The first time we read it?
Yes, especially the first time. Maybe even the second, third, fourth, or fifth time. Is there anything, just what were your impressions, candidly?
I think this time around, I can't go back. I don't remember the first, all the other times. But this time around, I really got caught with the idea that it's a fact. It simply states a fact that there is nothing to fear.
And when go ahead, dear.
That's impressive that, it's nothing to debate. It's a fact.
Yeah. And when you say, but this time around, you mean tonight?
Tonight, right now. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what caught my attention.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure it has caught my attention before, that first sentence.
Uh, and you mentioned not of the word fact, right?
Yeah,
They
fact.
see that, yeah, that runs through those first couple of sentences. Uh, Other impressions of this, your first reading, and then I'd like to share some perspectives as well. What'd you think, Ron? I know.
I had a difficult time with it initially
Yeah,
because of all the fears that I came into the course with. I think we've all come in with fears. But looking at it today, it makes a lot more sense than it did several years ago. Um, there is
that
nothing to
was,
fear unless I choose to fear stuff. And if I choose to have fears, it's coming from my egos. It's coming from the belief that my body is real. And I now know otherwise.
yeah,
I see otherwise.
yeah. Thanks, Ron. Yeah, was there more, Ron?
That's it.
Yeah. How about you, Ms. Kazmierski?
Well, I just had the quick thought that this is not for my ego, because my ego has plenty of fears, but who I really am in truth really does have nothing to fear.
Did you believe it?
Um, I believe it now, but I had to have a brief experience, I think, to really solidify that idea.
Something you want to share? The
Well,
experience?
once when I was meditating, all of a sudden, it was like this did not last very long now, a couple of minutes, but it was like I had no body.
Really?
And I was just sort of out in space. And it just lasted for a few minutes, but I've never forgotten it.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think the word ineffable, you know what that means, ineffable? Anybody? Ineffable? It means there are no words.
Oh, no words to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you find that was the experience you had? It's very hard to put into words,
Yeah,
even to us.
absolutely. Yeah. It probably sounds crazy to some people, and I don't share that with very many people.
Right. And that's kind of one of the points I'm making, is that it was hard for me to take this at face value. It was like, I love you, Jesus, and all of that, and I want to do the right thing, and thank you for this information. But boy, this one and the way you come at it, like all the other stuff, it's like so absolute. Like, how come it didn't say there's not much to fear? He never talks like that. It's always 100%.
Mhm.
No exceptions. How authoritative, or you could say how arrogant from an ego standpoint. And yet he speaks with this arrogance all through the book, and I could accept a lot of it. But I remember this one just seemed outlandish until I'm starting to see it's true. And it's like the more I'm able to dismiss fear thoughts, the more peaceful and joyous my everyday life is. I pay attention to situations, but it's getting to where none of them are fearful.
Well, I think it's true when I think that this is true when we're in level 1, but not in level 2 with the ego.
Yes.
So it's true in reality only. But,
Yeah.
I mean, so, what else is there? But to the ego, there is something else.
And
But
so they have their place here in level 2. But I don't deal with them from fear. It's more like I deal with them from strength.
Mhm.
And it seems to work. It's kind of like facing up to the bully and finding out there was really nothing there. And the more years I've been doing this, and I'm starting to allow that maybe this is totally true. And I'm more willing to give it a try in every situation. And I'm still alive and prospering and thriving. And it's a lot happier life than before.
Yes.
But when I first read this, okay, how could it really be a fact that absolutely nothing to fear?
In this spiritual realm, I get it, that is a fact.
And so how does that impact you then on level 2?
Well, I may as well stay in level 1 is how it impacts me.
So is that another way, another way to say it is that in level 2, you practice forgiveness of illusions?
Yeah, and to just, I guess for me, it would be, what I was trying to say is to be aware that I'm in level 2. That's what it does for me. Makes
Yes,
me aware, well, if I have fear, I'm in level 2. Time to move back to level 1.
I understand. Ron or Joan, any other comments on whether this, do you accept this as fact? And is there a qualifier? Is it different in level 2 than it is in level 1? To be a fact, wouldn't it have to be true? Wouldn't it have to operate in level 1 and level 2?
No, because level 2 is the illusion. So it actually doesn't operate there.
And yet it's been my practice that this level 1 truth my experience at this level one truth does operate in level two.
How?
Comment.
So you're
Yeah, how?
saying there's nothing to fear in this human life we have?
Yes, which is illusory, but I guess where we're going with it is that these truths operate in level two. The issue is there's so many distractions because it doesn't operate fully here. The problem for me, and I guess I'm getting a little long-winded, is the problem is separation. It's the separation here that keeps this from working with total effectiveness, because not enough of us practice it. And if you say, well, who am I? The Course would say we're all one. So maybe it would work if more of us could be persuaded or whatever to use it here in level two.
I don't see how it could work in level two. I just think the only way that it works is that it shows me I have a choice to not be in level two for whatever I'm processing, that I could process it from level one.
So let's just take a minute and see if we can bring this to some sort of closure. What then, how should you operate in, are you saying you're afraid to operate in level two?
I'm saying I'd rather not. I
And
think
isn't that fear?
would I have fear to be operating? I think level two is full of fear, yes. Yes, I do.
So why would I be afraid to be in it if it's an illusion?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But so if it's an illusion, why would I want to
That
be in
would
something
be an
that's an illusion?
exception to the
Huh?
rule,
What's an exception?
that there is nothing to fear.
I
Except
think there's plenty to fear in level two.
so here, why would I avoid the illusion?
Because it doesn't work and it's not real.
But the issue is, I don't know. And the point for me is, indeed, we get into some of these discussions. I appreciate that. Let me see if I can regroup.
I have a thought,
Go ahead,
Jim.
Joe. Yeah.
I was thinking in the 12-step groups, they say that fear is false evidence appearing real. So fear is an illusion.
And we're back to what is the purpose of the illusion?
To learn lessons.
How can I learn the lessons if I don't participate in them?
Mm-hmm.
And what the lessons will show me is that there is nothing to fear.
I think the lesson for me is to wake up from it.
Okay. I guess there's the methodology to waking up is basically where we're having the discussion. But my understanding is that operate here in level two. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Using this fact And that will show you that it works, that it is believable, that it is evidence-based in you, because you see it work in level 2 when you use it. My life becomes better, happier in level 2 through the application of these level 1 principles.
But it says in sentence 2, it is not a fact to those who believe in illusions. So when we're believing in the level 2, it's not a fact.
All right.
I'm sorry, that's the way I see
Yeah,
it.
and this is one of the shortest lessons in the course. So I had no idea we'd spend 20 minutes on it or something like that.
Hey, do we have 3 more minutes we could spend?
Yeah,
Because I just sent you just now. I just sent you a link to a 3-minute video. If you could share it, I sent it in your email, and you could bring it up and share it.
sure. What's the name of it?
I don't know. I sent you the link. It's a 3-minute. If you go to your email and click on the link and share it, this
Do you
it's a
know
Jim Carrey's Secrets of Life, Fear or Love.
Excellent. I'm not sure what email you sent it to. I've got about 3 or 4 accounts.
Oh, let's see. I sent it to, where'd I send it? Jim@lovecom.org.
Okay, great. Here it is. Well, it's running slow here. It's okay. Fear or Love, Jim Carrey. Cool.
My soul is not contained within the limits of my body. My body is contained within the limitlessness of my soul.
Sorry about that. I'm having
I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your
I'm
sense
so
of completion.
sorry. Let's try this again.
I can tell you.
Okay.
My soul is not contained within the limits of my body. My body is contained within the limitlessness of my soul. I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and
I don't know why. I was
so that
just
they can
trying
see
to
that it's
move
not
it
where
to
you're going
full
to find
screen.
your sense of
Yeah.
completion. I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is.
Can y'all hear it?
Everything you gain in life will rot,
Yes.
fall apart,
Oh,
and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart.
Well, I think we're going to try one more time
We're not at a time.
and leave it the way it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My soul is not contained within the limits of my body. My body is contained within the limitlessness of my soul. I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion. I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Because everything you gain in life will rot, fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart.
Is that all of it?
No.
Create.
Okay.
We're not dependent on the film stock. We are the light that shines through. All else is just smoke and mirrors. distracting, but not truly compelling. Our eyes are not viewers, they are also projectors that are running a second story over the picture that we see in front of us all the time. Fear is writing that script. Now, fear is going to be a player in your life, but you get to decide how much. You can spend your whole life imagining ghosts, worrying about the pathway to the future, but all there will ever be is what's happening here, and the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying that you can ask the universe for it. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. As far as I can tell, it's just about letting the universe know what you want and working toward it while letting go of how it comes to pass. Why not take a chance on faith? Not religion, but faith. Not hope, but faith. I don't believe in hope. Hope is a beggar. Hope walks through the fire and faith leaps over it. You are ready and able to do beautiful things in this world. And after you walk through those doors today, you will only ever have two choices, love or fear. Choose love, and don't ever let fear turn you against your playful heart.
So that was.
If I understood what he said,
Huh?
if I understood what he said, he mentioned the acceptance of others. And to me, that's huge. Accepting others for being just who they are. Not trying to change them, not seeing that they're different, just accepting them. I think that's a big part of A Course in Miracles.
In level 1 or level 2?
I believe level 1.
But not level 2? Level 2 is here in the illusion, right? Here on planet Earth, and level 1 being heaven. Where would you have to accept others?
Well, we could be in level 1 on this earth plane. Isn't that what Jesus says, to be of? I'm of this world, but not in it. Well, I'm in it, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes, I'm of this world, but I'm not in it.
Yeah.
But I do have a purpose here. That's why I'm here. I have a purpose here to demonstrate the reality that love works, that love is the reality. And the way that I can demonstrate it here is by living and forgiving the illusions, the fearful illusions, and maintaining that reality here.
So isn't that living in level 1? Living by level 1 in level 2?
Well, let me say it a different way. It's bringing level 1 thinking to level 2. It's bringing heaven to earth.
Yeah.
So do you see why I'm saying to go back, if I can, to our discussion of my role as I see it is to be a demonstration that all of our fear, the things that come out of the idea of fear, are illusions. They're illusory. They have no power.
Mhm.
And so my purpose is to bring that truth, there's nothing to fear, into this. In other words, it's salvation, isn't it? If people in level 2 would learn the fears are made up. And the way that I do that is not so much by evangelizing others, but remember, the sole responsibility of the miracle worker is what? To accept the atonement for themselves. So the way I show my acceptance is through the consistent demonstration of this principle. It's a fact. It'll work. It'll work here. Show people that love works, not fear. Fear is an illusion. It was conjured up for a variety of reasons that I won't go into. But that fundamentally, love is real, nothing else is real. So
Mhm.
I start to live my life that way, and oh my God, it really seems to work for me. Is it working for you in your level 2 life? I'm asking.
It definitely is working for me.
Okay. Do you see how I've grown in my acceptance of the all-encompassing validity that
I
there is
think,
nothing
yeah,
to fear?
I think we're just using different terminology.
Okay,
Honestly, I really do think we're saying the same thing.
okay. Uh,
To me, it's about waking up to the truth. That's what accepting atonement for myself first is.
yes.
So if when I'm in truth, waking up to truth, it's
Yeah,
there's nothing.
so when you do it, you live from there.
Yeah,
And that is the forgiveness of illusions in action. And I agree, Dee, maybe we're saying the same thing, a little different.
I think so.
Hey, I don't know. Spirit had me pick this one out for tonight, and notice how it coincided perfectly with Dee's video.
Yeah, I had just watched that, so it was just such perfect timing to share it with everyone.
Spooky synchronicity, isn't it?
Lovely. Yeah.
All right, my friends. I think we're gotten into it, right? ACIM Talks, and so it is. Let's get back to Charles Anderson. We were on page 36, I believe. So, what were there any questions before we transition to that? Everybody good?
Yes.
All right. So let me go to page 36. I think it was the first paragraph. Why don't we just start reading? And sometimes that's a good way to help us remember. So, Ron, you be reader 1, and then Joan is 2. D is 3, and I'll bring up the rear. I don't know, we might actually get Timmy tonight. Well, let's just see. Paragraph 1, right? Page 36. So I'll make,
I can read that.
let me make it a bit bigger. Find my cursor on the screen. And now let's see how we do. All right, sir, we're ready.
Okay, thank you. Having shared an incredible need for justification of life on this earth, I understand the calamity of the word surrender. While I was perfectly willing to finally admit that I had suffered from a powerlessness and that a continuing recovery from my addiction was occurring, the idea of the total surrender, which was the continuing mechanism of my enlightenment, was difficult for me. What many will discover, as I did, was that my necessity to carry the message in the 12th step practice allowed me to observe the miracle of sudden recovery in action.
I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal.
And I think carrying the message, that my necessity to carry the message in the 12th step
So it's
is important. It is the same as the course, that we don't proselyte it, but we carry the message by our example,
correct.
by living it.
Correct. Okay. And by living it is the way that I am healed. By living it teaches me its veracity. It is, oh God, what is the word? Latent. I have it, but it's through demonstrating it that the truth of having it grows in me.
Yes. Gets reinforced.
As I will be healed as I let him show me or teach me to heal others. That's what I'm getting out of it when he says, my necessity to carry the message allowed me to observe it in myself, in my recovery. Are y'all seeing it that way, or is it just me?
No, it's a good explanation.
Okay. Joan, Ron?
Yes. I observe that in other people also, and that allows me to see it in myself.
And sentence.
Go ahead,
Want
Ron, and go ahead, Ron, as well.
Want me to read?
Sentence two says, while I was perfectly willing to finally admit that I had suffered from a powerlessness, I like the idea that anytime we are suffering, it's from a powerlessness. We give it power, but it doesn't really exist.
Mm.
So I like the concept of it being powerlessness. If that's what we choose, we have a choice. So we suffer because we're giving it power, but it's really not.
Yeah. We're fueling the illusion through our belief. And that, to me, goes in concert with what we were saying before. But Joan, did you have a comment also, or you're ready to read on?
I'm ready to read on.
Oh, okay. Let me scroll down a little bit, or scroll up, I guess. Go right ahead, Joni.
Okay. What happened was, and what happens with many of you, your revelatory reassociation causes you to recognize the 12-step program as a healing mechanism in which you immediately enter. The same thing will happen with many consciousnesses who have had revelatory reassociations in broad ranges of self when they pick up A Course in Miracles. They will immediately be able to see it or discern it at that level of the recognition of their own mind. This then is just a practice of a continuing new visionary experience of re-identification of yourself with your own mind. But the value is never in the mechanism or method. The value is only in the continuing grace of this newly discovered reality.
Comments.
So we did not know that this reality existed before.
It seemed impossible that it would work until we tried it. What do you think about what I'm saying here?
Yes, it sounds very difficult. And maybe even
impossible.
crazy to someone lost in the
Right.
world of illusion. But,
Right. And but amazingly, it works.
Mhm.
It defied logic, or at least my logic. But to our amazement, it really seemed to work.
Well, what's working, he's saying in the last sentence, the value is only in the continuing grace of this newly discovered reality. That's what's, reality's always going to work.
And why does he use the I don't know if that's an adjective or an adverb, but the word grace. Why does he use the word grace?
Because it's not coming from myself. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
something benevolence or something being bestowed. And it's so amazing, it even amazes me. You know, and he says you can get there through the mechanism of 12 steps or the course, or I would even add at this point, talking about this universal curriculum. There are many versions of the universal curriculum, the course being just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all remember that phrase from the course?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've been looking at examples of various procedures and mechanism to get us to that same place. Remember in the course it says, all are called, not few are called. All are called, but few choose to listen. But for those who do give it a try, it's an amazing phenomenon. But this works. It's a very spiritual program, both of them, right?
Yes.
But it seems to work. And the only, well, what do they say in 12 steps? akin to what we've been saying about the necessity for carrying the message. In 12 step, it says something like, it will work if you work it.
Right.
Will it work if you don't work it?
How can it?
Okay. There's that action, that caring, that sharing it that makes the phenomenon live. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal others. That's how you know you have it. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with that one. Anything else from you all?
I'm just looking at
don't
the
we-
word
don't we think that-
continuing grace. Grace is always there.
Go ahead and finish, Joan. Then I'll get right back to you, Ron. Joan?
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Go
was
ahead.
looking at that word continuing, like grace is continuous. It's not
Mm,
a one-time thing.
Yeah, it's
always there.
amazing.
Mm.
All right, but there's this reciprocal thing to where, at least for me, I started seeing it in glimpses. And you say, oh, that was a coincidence or something like that. And then you try it a little more and it works a little bit better. And then you find the more I do it absolutely, the more it absolutely works. Or at least it seems that way. Where did this solution come from? Oh, the grace of God or something like that must be real.
I like that point that Joan is making because grace is always there. It was just that it was newly discovered by me.
It was my willingness relationship that, as we've stated before, goes back to this element of free will.
But I really do think that's an important point Joan is making, that grace is always there. All I need to do is open my, like you said, be willing to embrace it.
And the willingness involves removing the blocks to love's presence. And oh my God, it really seems to be there. So then you kind of get confidence and you try it again and try it again. And in circumstances where before you would have smacked somebody, you use another approach, a love-based approach, and you find out that works even better because it's guilt-free, anger-free, conflict-free. It's a win-win that definitely makes me feel better than the temporary advantage of conflict. Because it always produced guilt in me, whether I was on top or didn't win. When I acted out in anger and stuff, it always had a rebound consequence to me. Who's next?
I wanted to make a comment if I can.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Go ahead, dude.
It's okay. I just wanted to reinforce that when we make this effort, when we try and we try, it becomes the last three words, it becomes a newly discovered reality. We don't always know that it's there, but if we try enough times, we will discover that that reality is there.
No.
And it's continuing grace as well. It's always been there. We just didn't know it.
Mm.
we couldn't recognize that.
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree, Ron. And I think in that vein, I would just make a little correction to Charles, and maybe I would call it a newly realized reality. It wasn't new, it's that I didn't see it before, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks for your comments there, Ron. Anything else? Then we're up to Joan, right?
No, I just read.
Whoops, I'm sorry, Dee. Go ahead.
You're where you belong at last. When you discover a group that is in full admission of the sharing of an experience of recovery, you will feel virtually immediately the release of your own necessity to protect and justify the fearful possession of your own resentments. You have come together to share the miracle of a complete healing from a fatal disease of mind and body. The serene serenity of your recovery is privately acknowledged and protected through honoring your individual anonymity. You are in this world, but not of it. There we go.
There it is. Comments on this paragraph.
So it has to feel good to know that we're where we belong, where we're supposed to be at last. We are there. We don't have to go any further necessarily because we have a deeper understanding of who we are and how comfortable it feels when we are where we want to be at last. We are there.
Yes, yes. And Dee, you had a comment?
I don't understand why the importance of your anonymity at this point of his statement has anything to do with anything.
I'm not sure either. Joan, Ron, what do you think? The serene certainty of your recovery is privately acknowledged and protected through honoring your individual anonymity. I'm not sure on that one either. Thanks, Steve. What do y'all
I think it's a part of the program that's one of the I don't know if you want to call it a rule or what, but you do not talk about someone else's recovery or any that they went through. I mean, it's a personal thing, and it's so private that we have to respect others' anonymity.
Is that like respecting each other's privacy? Is that kind of the rule you're talking about, Joe?
Yes.
So you wouldn't talk about details of my recovery to other people?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Mhm.
Other comments here? Does that help with the anonymity part of it though, Dee, for you?
I understand what it is that outside a program, you don't talk about what happened in the rooms. You don't talk about somebody else, rather, you know.
Yeah,
But I don't know. It's okay. I'll let it go.
I'm not exactly sure either. And Joan, you offered certainly a good possibility of what it means. All right, why don't we let that go a bit and continue? Maybe we'll figure something out here. Am I the next reader? I'm getting.
You are.
I just had a thought, we don't want to get into gossip about other people. It's, that's really a bad thing to do.
Mhm.
I guess, and I'm going to leave it, but what's throwing me also is the word honoring your individual, the word individual.
Mhm.
That's still throwing me a little bit too.
Mhm.
I think what's making sense to me is from the sentence before that you have come together in these rooms. You share the miracle of a complete healing from a fatal disease of mind and body, but then you keep it in those rooms.
Yeah. Okay. That's helping me as well. And I'm going to move on. Boy, we have a lot to talk about, I tell you. We're on page 37, and that's literally a communicative experience. You don't limit yourself to the old impossible you. You have made the fundamental admission that you have gathered for the purpose of sobriety rather than to determine by judgment the value that you have in your own identity of yourself. Quite literally, quote, I can't solve this problem, unquote. I can't either, or quote, I can't either, unquote, or quote, it is not solvable, unquote, or I know it. How are you getting along? Fine, as long as I don't. Oh, wow. Not how well are you dealing with it, rather, how well are you not dealing with it? I can't, he will if I let him. So if I didn't slaughter the reading of that, let's talk about it for a minute. And then I think it's closing time, my friends. What are your thoughts here? And I got to read pretty good. You want to
Well,
go?
that last,
Go
go ahead.
You go
That
ahead.
last sentence, I can't, he will if I let him, is what you've been saying all evening about turning to God. Yeah, letting God. I don't know. You've been saying something repeatedly, and that's what this is reminding me of.
I think that's the one I put at the top of the agenda too, or that sentence. So let's kind of stick to that last sentence, which summarizes all those other statements before. I can't, he will if I get out of the way. I can see this amazing grace that can manage my life. I'm powerless. I admit it. I need help. And then, oh my God, help's been there the whole time.
I turn my will and my life over to the care of God, because I understand him, and then I let go and let him do it.
And despite all logic, it works. It works. Hallelujah. Okay, we get into some wide-ranging discussions, wouldn't you say?
It was great. Always
Yeah.
is.
And I love how we put our heads together and come out with some valuable things, and we do it in a warm and friendly and amicable environment. So I do appreciate that. Any final comments from anyone before we call it an evening? Well, I can't tell you how nice it is to see everyone again. I think we have a couple folks missing or whatever, but hopefully we've had a good time and we can share it with them through the recording tonight.
Right.
So without further ado, let me say again how much I love you and how I can't help myself, because love is what I am, and that's all that I am. And I will see y'all next time, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Namaste.
Take care, everyone.
Namaste to all of us. Yes, have a blessed week.
Thank you. Good
Too.
night.